we're getting a potential security breach warning. The reason why we're getting this is that we have a new key, and we're expecting this warning here because we just created a new key on the device. So we're going to go ahead and accept the key. If you ever got this warning and you didn't change the RSA key, chances are something's really wrong, so be careful. All right, so admin was the password, or admin was the username, and Cisco is the password. I can type enable here, same password with Cisco, and a show run from there. Okay, now let's take a look at this from our capture utility here. Go ahead and stop that. I'll right-click any of these and go to follow TCP stream, and this is what it looks like. We have Diffie-Hellman Exchange Group, we have SHA-1, and then a whole bunch of, what's that? It's all encrypted. So this is the process of the telnet that was occurring, or the SSH that was occurring. We can't see any of the data that's going by because it's in fact encrypted, and anybody watching, anybody that was able to get in between this conversation here, although it's simply a patch cable between my workstation and my switch, but if there's any way to get in the middle of this conversation, if the workstation I was using was much farther away, there was a hub in between, anybody running a sniffer and watching the traffic would only see this, which certainly isn't going to create any problems on your network and expose passwords for both remote passwords and enable passwords to eyes that you don't want to expose that information to. All right, a couple more things before we finish up this section here. It's generally a good idea to configure a banner. I'm going to, from a nicety perspective, do that. Which one's which? I'm gonna close the other extra putty session here. So let's close that one. Yes, and then from here, exit out. This is my SSH session that I have still open here. So, okay, so from here, start with a saved configuration. All right, I would like to create a banner. A banner will come up every time you SSH into your device. It's going to come up with a banner after you've logged in, indicating, well, whatever you put in. So we'll do banner MOTD, which is old Unix style for message of the day. The next thing it wants here is a delimiting character. Delimiting character can be anything, but realize that the delimiting character marks the beginning of your banner, and if you type that delimiting character again, that's the marker for the end of your banner. So I usually use something like a tilde, which isn't something I usually use, or maybe a grave mark, right, like that. It's the key next to the 1 on the US keyboard. So I usually start with a tilde, hit enter, I'm going to enter a couple times. This is my banner. If you don't here, get lost. Fair enough. And then a tilde again marks the end of my banner, and there it is. Now, if you use the letter E for your banner, since E is the most used character in the English language, your banner's probably going to be pretty short, or if you can figure out a way to type all the stuff you want to type without using the letter E, that's pretty creative, but probably unnecessary. You will most likely, if you're preparing for tests, get something in relationship to, how the banner works and understanding how the delimiting character works. So if they use an odd delimiting character like an uppercase D as the first marker here, you're then going to look for the next time they see an uppercase D inside the banner itself, and that's essentially going to mark the end of the banner. Okay. Cisco tends to like that type of test question. All right, so we did banners. A couple other things we want to do before we go on to the next section, and that is some other basic security settings we can do on some ports here. So I want to turn on port security for my interfaces. Port security essentially locks down the number of MAC addresses that a particular interface can learn. It's not my favorite security feature. I'm not going to go into all the details at this point as to why I think it's not a very good security feature, but you can just hear the incredulity in my voice as I'm saying it right now. But I'm obligated, based on the ICND 1 course, to show you what port security is, so here you have it. I do want to do this on several interfaces at once,